Hey, how y'all doing out there? Back again, once again, another video. This time, gonna talk about why so many phones. As you can see, I have 7 phones up here on my table, and number 8 is in my hand, which is the Note 9. So, couldn't put the Note 9 out there because I needed to in order to make the video. So, I'll show you exactly what type of phones I have here. I have the Axon 7, ZTE Axon 7, the Nexus 6P, the Note 4, the LG V10, the Note 8, the LG V30, and the Honor Note 10, which is by far my biggest device that I have. 6.9.5 inches of sheer beauty. Now, everybody has different vices. My vices, I like smartphones. Some may have a vice for women with pocketbooks or makeup or, shoes, or men with suits and hats and baseball cards. It's just everybody has something they really like and something they really get into. And, they have different things they collect. My thing, I love smartphones. And I like them. I like them for a variation of reasons. And I'll explain to you very quickly what those reasons are. I'm going to start out with the Axon ZTE Axon. Now, this phone I primarily got because I liked that it had a quad HD display. It had dual front-facing speakers, stereo. It had Dolby Atmos, and it was cheap. It was only $399 when it came out, and I thought that was an excellent price for what they were giving you. They giving you the latest and greatest processor at the time. They was giving you dual front-facing speakers. They was giving you a quad HD display and a stainless steel back, which I thought was pretty impressive, and Dolby Atmos. This, the audio on this phone, as far as the front-facing speakers, were excellent, and also when you put your headphones in, it also has a headphone jack. So, very nice phone. Really liked it. Only thing that I had problem with this phone is that the battery, after a while, just doesn't last that long. That was my only issue. Here we have the Nexus 6P. Now, we know they don't make Nexuses anymore. It's all about the Pixel. And I thought the Nexus was the last phone that they made that was really good, with the Nexus line. It was a really, nice phone. Now, the reason why I got the Nexus 6P is because I just kept hearing people always bragging about, pure Android, stock Android, whatever. So I figure, let me get one and see if it's all that. And what I did experience, it's very fast, very smooth, very fluid. I like that. I love the front-facing stereo speakers. They sound really good. The audio with the headphone jack, not so good. Didn't really. I wasn't impressed with that. The large bezels on it at the time didn't bother me because most phones had large bezels. But I liked the fact that it had a quad HD display. And the camera was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay. The price on it was, really decent at the time, even though they went up a little bit on the price. But the price was fairly decent at the time. So, the smoothness of the pure Android experience and, the quick updates, all that was cool. But the phone had no features. It was just flat out, for me, just boring. So stock Android for me is way overrated. Pure Android, just overrated. I mean, the only thing you're getting really, in my opinion, you're getting the latest, with the Nexus phones at the time, you were getting the latest updates, security patches, which is good. You're getting a pure Android experience, which is nice and smooth and fast. But just, for me, it's just boring. There was nothing fun about the phone. And I like to have fun with my devices. So I tried it out. It's cool. It was good for what it was, but it was a boring phone. Next in line is the Note 4. Note 4 was one of my favorite phones of all time because it could do so much. It was very powerful. The battery was awesome. It has a quad HD display, Super AMOLED, which was beautiful. It's still beautiful to this day. I have no issues with the display at all. So this phone had it had expandable memory, had an IR blaster. You have the S Pen. It just had a lot of things that you could do with it. 3250 milliamp battery. Now, the battery on this phone was clearly a beast when it first came out. When the Android was, I think the Note was still on KitKat, and the battery literally was 2 days. Soon as they upgraded it to the Marshmallow, it was just terrible. I'm serious, it was just terrible. It barely lasted me a day. So the update killed that phone. But other than that, I really love the phone. The aspect ratio is great. The fingerprint scanner, you had to slide your finger, which sometimes was annoying, but I got used to that. But that was one of that's the classic Note right there. Out of all the Notes I've had, and I've had pretty much all of them except the Note 1 and the Note 2. The next one up is the LG V10. Got this phone basically because I loved how large the screen was. You had the little screen up at the top where you could put your name or you can control apps. And I love the build. This is the best built phone that I've ever had. I mean, I just tried everything I could to break that phone. Couldn't break it. It's just steel rails. It's just solid. Like the first phone, actually, I didn't actually need a case for it. I just didn't. Display LCD is okay. No Quad HD, so that was a disappointment. The speaker was kind of trashy. And I forgot to mention that about the Note 4. They put the speaker on the back, which was a big mistake because it didn't sound all that great at all. They should have put it at the bottom. And the same thing they did with the LG V10. They just didn't put a good speaker in there at all. And one speaker just wasn't cutting it. It does have an IR blaster, which was cool. You can control your TV and all that, so I like that. Both of them, the Note 4 and the LG V10, you could have IR blasters, which I loved. And I got that phone basically because it was a newer phone. The way it was built, I really was impressed with that. The little screen up at the top here where you see my name, I like that. I like that it had an IR blaster. It had 2 cameras on the front, one with wide angle lens. The cameras on that phone actually was very, very good. So that's another reason why I bought that phone. Moving on to my Note 8. Now, I got the Note 8 simply because it's a Note, and I love all Note phones. Unfortunately, with the Note, it just did not have dual front-facing speakers, which it should have had, and it needed to have a bigger battery. It only has a 3,300 milliamp battery as opposed to the Note 9, which has a 4,000 milliamp battery. The cameras on the Note 8 are excellent. The video recording, excellent. The processor, excellent. The Super AMOLED display, excellent. The speaker lets it down and the battery lets it down. Of course, you have the almighty S Pen, which you can do all your things, with that. But that was my only issue with that phone. I still love it, but I just wish it had better battery life and dual front-facing speakers. Next, you have the LG V30. Got this phone because I really loved all the LG, like the V series. Now, I've had the LG G4, which was actually a decent phone. I didn't have any boot loops or anything like that with it. It was pretty decent, but I ended up giving it away to my brother. But the speaker on that phone was so loud. Like, I was really impressed by how loud that phone was. And of course, it had a quad DAC, as do this one has the quad DAC on it. It has a headphone jack, of course. And I forgot to mention that with the another reason why I bought the LG V10, because it had that quad DAC on it. It was the audio with headphones, excellent. That's what I've always liked about LG phones, that quad DAC. All right, now this one. Now I had the LG V20, which basically I didn't talk about because I ended up giving that away to one of my sisters. So I gave that away. So that's the reason why I don't have that one. But other than that, I've pretty much had all the V series phones. I've had them all. So this one I got it primarily because I love the V series, and it has, of course, they finally put a OLED display on here, which made a world of difference. The OLED display makes it looks almost as good as Samsung, even though Samsung still, in my opinion, looks better. But the display on this phone is excellent. Of course, you had, it's waterproof, and They finally put wireless charging on there, even though it's super slow. It's not fast wireless charging like Samsung put on their phones. It has a quad DAC, great display. Speaker is mediocre. They should have put dual speakers on it. But the cameras on this phone is actually excellent. So I picked it for those reasons. For the display, the thin bezels on the top and the bottom, not like this mess they got with these not notches. And I hate phones with notches. I can't stand it. It's just completely unnecessary. But it has facial. The phone has also facial unlock too, which is not great, but it's okay. So that's the reason why I got that one. The display, the battery life is very good. Standby time is excellent. So the display for me, the fact that it was waterproof, the fact that it had wireless charging, they took the IR blaster off of it, unfortunately, and the fact that it had a 6-inch screen, not kind of light for me as far as phones. Don't feel as solid as the other phones I have, but that was pretty much the reason. And the cameras, I really like the cameras on this phone, especially the video recording. Next up, you have my Honor Note 10, which is just a beast because it's so huge. Made by Huawei. Big giant phone, 6.9.5 inches. Now, the thing that's going to shock you is that this is not an AMOLED display. This is it's not even Quad HD. It's 1080p, but it's the best full HD 1080p screen I've ever seen on a phone. I mean, some of the wallpapers that comes up on there actually look almost as good as Samsung's. Honestly, it's just awesome. This phone has dual speakers on the bottom and in the earpiece, which sound awesome. It has a 5,000 milliamp battery, and I forgot to mention about the LG V30 has a 3,300 milliamp battery, which is pretty good, not bad at all. But this one has a 5,000 milliamp battery, the biggest battery I have in any phone. And I could easily get 2 days of battery life out of this. The most I think one time I almost got 10 hours of screen time out of it, which you shouldn't base, how good the battery is on screen time, because it varies depending on how you use your phone. And also depending on how many notifications you get. I get a lot of notifications, like hundreds of them every day. So something like that can run your battery down pretty quickly. But this phone, I got to work really hard to kill it because it's just a beast. So this one I got primarily for the sheer size of the device, the fact that it has dual cameras on the back, which are, not bad, but it has front-facing speakers. It has a 5,000 milliamp battery. So those were the main things for me. The display, how beautiful it is, the speakers, and the battery. Now, don't get it twisted. This phone is extremely fast. I mean, it's very fast and fluid. I mean, it's almost faster than actually my Note 9, honestly. With just raw speed, it's actually faster. I mean, it gets the job done. And the movie experience on it is amazing. I love it. I love watching, streaming videos and watching movies that I put on here. I love that. This is my media consumption device right here. So this one I got it for the speakers, for the display, for the DAC that's built into it. This one wanted to see, the Nexus 6P, the pure Android experience, want to see what that was all about. And, as far as speed and smooth, I was impressed, but overall it's just a boring phone. I don't like stock Android. Note 4 is an all-time classic. Love the aspect ratio. Love the display. Love the Note. The expandable memory you get on it. And I forgot the Nexus 6P has no expandable memory, no wireless charging, no IR blaster. This one has a great display, IR blaster, expandable memory, the S Pen. Open up with your finger. I mean, this phone was well ahead of its time, the Note 4, well ahead of its time. Then, of course, you had the LG V10, which was the first in the V series that LG came out with. That was their first phone in the V series. and it was like the best built phone that I've ever had. Still to this day, the best built phone as far as the way it was built. Not that bright as you can see. If you look at it, it's just not, the screen doesn't get that bright, and I got the brightness all the way up. But it's, I'm just not impressed with the display. I never was, because they didn't put a Quad HD display on it. Note 8, love that. Only thing, like I said, the disappointment was the battery life and no dual speakers. And but it does have fast wireless charging also, which nobody else has to this day that I'm aware of. And of course, you have the LG V30, which was my favorite in the V series. Out of all the V series I've had, and I've had the 10, the 20, and now the 30. And I know they got the 40 out there, but I don't like notches, so I just skip on that. But this phone, I got it for the display. It's waterproof, it has wireless charging, it has great cameras on it. So that was my reason for getting that. And I like the V series of phones. Then of course you have the big dog, the Honor Note 10, and of course the Note 8 that's currently in my hand that I'm filming this with, which is my favorite phone out of all the phones I have here. The Note 9 is definitely my favorite device. It is a beast. It does everything, and it does pretty much everything well, and I'm satisfied with it. So like I said, once again, why so many phones? I buy phones for various reasons. Some I buy for curiosity, some I get for particular features that it brings to the table, and some I'm just curious about. So that's why I have so many, and I keep them, because I always have a backup, and I like various phones for various reasons. This one has dual speakers, single firing speaker, single firing speaker, single firing speaker, single firing speaker. And the Note 9, of course, has dual speakers, so I love that. So, and pretty much every phone here has a Quad HD display except for the V10. Everything else has a Quad HD display, and I love Quad HD. Some people may say, you can't tell the difference between LCD and Quad HD. No, you can tell the difference. Ain't no doubt about it, unless something wrong with your eyesight. You can definitely tell the difference. So this is the reason why I have so many phones. I've had more phones than this, but quite a few I've given away. I've given away my Note 7 to my wife. I've given away my Note 5 to my mom and my brother. I've given away LG G4. I've given away my Mate 9. I had an Alcatel 4S. I gave that away to somebody. I had a OnePlus One that I gave that away to my son. So I've had a lot of phones. I've had also the S6 Edge Plus from Samsung. I had that too, but for some reason that just stopped working for some odd reason. So I've had a lot of phones, and I don't even know if I remember them all. I did have an iPhone 4 and an iPhone 4S. Those are my two first iPhones, but I don't really do Apple anymore. I'm purely Android guy, because I like the functionality, I like options, I like features. So I just couldn't do the Apple thing anymore. But that's it. That's why I have so many phones, and I have them for various reasons. And hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you come back and watch some more. If you don't mind, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and also hit that bell icon on the side so you'll get my latest videos. All right. Talk to you guys again. God bless. Peace.